Good morning, everyone. I'm literally up at the crack of dawn today. Well, actually, the dawn hasn't even broke here yet. You can see the sky, it's still dark out, and it is freezing here. It is really cold, but it's also really windy. My heat just kicked on, and I've never been so thankful for heat in my life. I am literally just shivering. It is the crack of dawn. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm in my living room on my couch. My whole household is asleep, and I'm layered in house coats. That's how cold I am. And I just couldn't sleep last night. I just had one of those nights where I tossed and turned. I had a lot in my mind. And when I got up, I stayed up. I got up around 4:45 this morning. When I started my YouTube channel, I talked a lot about my experiences in corporate America and the reason I left corporate America, and also that I had taken a job at a car dealership. So I talked a little bit about those in early videos and said what my experience was working at a car dealership. I just want to preface this by saying any job I've ever had, I throw my whole self into it. I've always been early to my job. If my job starts at 9, I'm there around between 8:30 and 8:45, depending on what I'm doing, depending on the day. Now, where I worked, it was a career-based job. This was a career where you had a lot of responsibilities, where it wasn't possible to leave your work there. You took it home with you at night. It wasn't a job where your shift ended at 5, so you go home. Typically, I was there until 6 or later at night. But when I quit, of course, you can't just quit a job. You have to have something else. And I never saw myself working at a car dealership. That's not anything that was ever in my radar. But being a 50-year-old woman, having 2 children in college, I couldn't just leave corporate America and say, oh, well, I still have bills. I still have kids to help. What was I going to do? So now I didn't know anything about working at a car dealership. So that's my ignorance. If I knew then, I would have never went there because it was worse than working in corporate America. It was just the job. Nonetheless, I gave it my best. I gave it my all. When I went to work at the car dealership, I didn't know anything about cars. I drive a car, I have a car, but I really don't know anything about cars. It's never been something I'm interested in. I did it for the money because I need to make a living, okay? And that's my honest answer. I mean, I have to make a living, so I went to work at this car dealership. Well, they put me through training right away. I worked my tail off every single day. I filled notebooks of notes. Most people don't do that. They watch the little videos, they take their little quizzes. Not me. I devoured the information. The owner of the company was actually surprised. He couldn't believe how many notebooks I filled with information. He said he'd never seen anything like it before. And he really appreciated the effort because he knew I didn't come from a background of cars. For 2 weeks, I got certified in the cars that they sold. It was one brand of car. They did have trade-ins that were other brands, but the brand I was certified was one brand, and it was new to our area. So this was the only dealer within a 50-mile radius that sold this brand car. After 2 weeks, I started selling cars. I started in November. I don't remember how many cars I sold that month. It wasn't many, between 4 and 6 after my training. But I only had 2 weeks into the month to sell cars. December came and I sold 10 cars. But let me tell you what it took to get there. I thought that was really good for never having sold cars before and selling 10 cars my first month. I thought that was pretty fantastic. But I literally, from the time I got there to the time I left, I was working. I wasn't talking. I wasn't on my phone playing around on the internet. I was working. And I started emailing. I had my own email campaigns because I have a background in marketing. And I did 500 emails per day. That was my goal. I also, and every day they had a morning meeting. So My shift started at 9 a.m. and we closed at 7. You get a base amount, and that's it, unless you sell a car. The base amount in my paycheck before I sold a car was about $375. Now, can you imagine working all those hours for that little pay? And it's up to you to sell a car. If you don't sell a car, that's all you get. There's no other perk about this job. In addition, we had a morning meeting every single day. And at this morning meeting, they told us they wanted us to have 12 phone calls made and so many appointments set before noon, because it was all about telemarketing and cold calling. We didn't really have a lot of walk-in customers. We had to generate our customers. And I had to sit there and work and work and work. In addition, once the manager saw how hard I worked, he started sending me out on the lot to do other things. Okay, I'm sitting here at a cozy desk inside. It was December. It was cold out. Okay, he had me go outside and he had me put plastic license plates on all the cars. He had me clean snow off cars. He had me de-ice cars. I wasn't a lot attendant. I was a salesperson. But he had me doing the jobs of a lot attendant while I was the only woman there. But all the men were sitting back in the showroom, cozy, warm at their desks, playing on their phones. Okay, I'm not exaggerating here. This is the truth. And one day he had me outside. It was the coldest day of the year. I was out there for 3 hours in a dress. I came in and my legs were purple. Regardless of what the job was, I did it. And I just was trying to make money. Isn't that what we all want to do? Just to do our job and make our paycheck? So that's what I was trying to do. But he kept hindering me from my work. Despite the fact that I could do a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls a day to generate customer appointments, he took me away from that to do piddly things that generated no income for the business. And they did have this one man that was like a handyman for the company, and he worked directly under the owner. Even that guy said, I don't even have to go on the parking lot as much as they send you out here. Okay. So even though I had to do that, okay, even though they were making me do that, taking me away from being able to make appointments, I still generated the most appointments. I still generated the most emails every single day, and I still generated the most phone calls every single day. And it started to pay off. I started making about 5 appointments a day, and now I was doing more than the marketing team. There were 3 full-time marketing people. When you're interested in a car on a website, the little chatbot will pop up, and that was their job, to answer questions, to answer phone calls when people were calling in from the website. I was making more appointments than they were, and that was their main job, was to make appointments for the company. So after that started happening, the manager noticed, okay, and he didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that I was a woman that had no experience, but yet I'm outperforming any of the guys, and it made him mad. And he started having me do menial tasks like run to the convenience store to get his snacks, go buy me a bag of chips, things like that. Well, if I'm over there buying a bag of chips, I can't be at my desk waiting on a customer. You see, I can't be showing a customer a car. I can't be taking a customer on a test drive, meaning I can't generate sales. So after I sold the 10 cars that I sold, January came. It was one of the coldest Januaries on record here. The parking lot was a sheer ice. This manager was so determined to not let me make sales that he started bringing people there, friends of his, just random people, and then having me do all the test drives just to give me something to do, just to generate work for me. So I would be taken off of my desk, away from the emailing, away from the calling, making genuine appointments, to take his friends on test drives. And at the end of these test drives, they would say, oh, I'm just here because I'm his friend, or I never really wanted to buy a car. I wasn't really here buying a car. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This one woman, I spent 2 hours with her answering every single one of her questions. She was a pain in the neck. And I was like, are you kidding me? After 2 hours, you had no interest in buying a car. And that's when I knew it was time to go. And I was already reeling from the health issues that developed during my stay at corporate America for 6 years. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm no quitter. Trust me on this. I am no quitter. I ended my job there at the car dealership January 31st. I don't know how many cars I sold in January, because at that point, after December, when I had a good month, they raised my quota, and the owner himself decided, well, if she can sell 10 cars, she can sell 20. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm brand new. That was my first month. I realized then this was a no-win situation. It was never going to go anywhere. I was like a duck paddling in an icy river, and I was stuck in just one little tiny pool where the ice had melted, but ice was all around me. That's how I felt. Like I was never going to be able to grow here. I was never going to be able to get better, because it wasn't just me. The obstacle was this sadistic manager, and he had it out for me because he didn't want a woman on top of sales there. And there was just nothing I could do. There's nothing you could do to beat that, especially when he's in the right pocket of the owner. So I made the decision to leave, because that was what was best for me and my family. I got my W-2 yesterday, and I realized, let me show you. Let me show you the job I did, because you're in that kind of job where you're in sales. Your proof is in the sales you generate and the money you make for the company. It's in your paycheck, the commissions you get. So let me show you proof of my work ethic. This was January. My last day was January 31st. My gross wages were $4,855.50 for 1 month at a car dealer. In addition, commission was $200 a car. So let's look at this. $4,800 in 1 month. That was almost the amount that I was making in corporate America, where I was at for 6 years, which was a professional career. This was my second full month working at a car dealer. I did get a call from one of the managers about a month after I left, and she said that they let go the sadistic manager, that he was no longer aligned with the company's needs, and they hired somebody else, and they asked me to come back. And I said at that point, no. Yes, I walked away from that much money. Now, some of you make a lot more than that, but at a car dealer, I thought I did pretty well. Also, the other point of this story is money is tight sometimes, and sometimes you do what you have to do. You know, people have to have a job to live, to support themselves, to support your families, to make money to put food on the table. A car dealership is not part-time work. You have to be there in the hours that they give you in order to sell cars, because that's the whole point of the job, is to sell cars. I don't want to discourage anyone from ever going to work at a car dealership. You can make a lot of money at a car dealership, but you need the work ethic to do that. You need the patience. You need the consistency. I didn't go to the car dealership and stand around the showroom twiddling my thumbs. I was on the computer. I was on the phone. I was doing what I had to do every second I was there to make this much money. So I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope it warms up for everybody, because I'm still freezing. My heat just kicked back on. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Take care.